Are you apprehensive about earning your first $1,000,000? Because it sometimes seems hard to cross the $1,000,000 mark when starting from scratch. Even if you surpass the goal and reach the next million, you may have heard that the first million is always the toughest to reach. But there is some truth to this. There are a number of reasons why this is accurate, and you'll be relieved to learn that once you become a millionaire, it's inevitable that you will soon pass the mark of the second, third, and fourth million. Look at the arguments in favour of this theory, and make sure to read all the way through, because the arithmetic that demonstrates how rapidly $1,000,000 will multiply will astound you. My name is Josh, and I help people learn about money, investing, and personal finance. So if you want to stop worrying about money and become financially free, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you find it useful. Personal finance is stated to be 90% behaviour and 10% knowledge. It can take some repetition to get the behaviour part down, but when it comes to building wealth, one of the reasons it takes time to get started is that most individuals don't know how to manage their finances. They don't know how to save, spend, or develop their money. People stay impoverished in part because they have bad financial habits. That takes time to change. Practice millionaires, on the other hand, are adept with money. They understand how to invest and how to save. They may be good at money now, but that wasn't always the case. Didn't they have to learn things the hard way? The answer is yes. And the wise spending and saving habits that they formed before becoming millionaires continue to help them today. They are committed, accountable, and cognizant of the value of money. After you establish the right financial practices, you can advance significantly. When you initially begin saving and investing, you probably worry about the risk of being broke. When money is all you have, the thought of losing it may be overwhelming. What if the stock market drops? What if the real estate value drops? Or what if I buy at the peak of the market? These worries are understandable, given that in comparison to someone who has been in the market for a very long period of time, you have very little buffer. They've already experienced exponential growth, so they're not worried about market falls by 50%. Wealthy people have a larger safety net, which allows them to make more aggressive financial decisions. If they choose, they can invest their money in high risk, high reward ventures. Even if they lose their money, they will probably still be able to cover their expenses. Because it takes months or even years to save up, someone with $5,000 or $10,000 doesn't want to take the chance of losing it. Millionaires are seasoned investors, so they have a strong understanding of how to keep their capital as well as increase it. Even when beginning from scratch, these people will still make prudent investments and focus risk and reward. For instance, they won't invest their entire life savings into a single stock that a friend or relative advised them to buy, and they won't invest everything into cryptocurrencies. They'll invest their funds into tried and true investments with a track record of profitability rather than anything speculative. Since they want to increase their capital, wealthy investors prefer to invest in real estate boards, market index funds, ETFs, in addition to businesses that are well diversified. And they are very cautious when using leverage. They may still invest in risky assets, but will only do so to very small extents, relative to their overall portfolio. You'd be right to assume that most millionaires have no bad debts or loans that don't generate income. They paid off most of their debts, freeing up their income, so that they aren't sending payments to banks every month to cover depreciating assets that they should never have purchased, like vehicles out of their price range. In the event that they have a loan for a car or another item, they have determined that it is worthwhile and use low interest debt in order to invest in assets that will yield higher returns than the cost of debt. Instead of paying interest to banks, they choose to pay themselves money. Wealthy people frequently use interest debts to their advantage to buy income-producing assets that will significantly exceed the interest they're paying. In addition to being debt-free or at least free from bad debt, this may be financing investments, properties that offer a high return on investment. Before achieving your first million, most people concentrate on commitments like paying off college loans, paying off credit card debt, and other tasks that may not have a significant impact on your net worth. Banks enjoy lending money to responsible individuals, so if you're already wealthy, you'll find it easier to borrow money because the bank is more likely to receive their money back as well as some profit. Due to the fact that they have assets to fall back on in the event that the business fails and money needed for a down payment, millionaires find it much easier to borrow money for real estate investments that can further boost their net worth. A multi-unit apartment project that can significantly boost one's net worth is considerably more likely to be financed by someone who is a millionaire. The access to capital combined with the understanding of how to expand it creates tremendous potential. As you become wealthier, the funds you continue adding to your investments are almost meaningless, but the growth accelerates to an incredible pace and the annual returns are much higher than you earn from working when you first started investing. Those with little to no savings find it difficult to get a bank to lend them money for either of these things. Your account don't even budge, unless you're piling money into it month after month, and even then, you've probably seen like it barely grow over the course of 1 year. For example, a $50,000 investment portfolio which might grow $5,000 in an average of 1 year, compare that to a $500,000 portfolio which can grow an average of $50,000 in 1 year. Further, a $1 million portfolio might grow an average of $100,000 per year. How does that $100,000 of growth in 1 year compare to how much you can personally save when your account is already large? The growth will almost be entirely due to compound interest. The only tiny proportion will be from your contributions. It makes very little difference whether you continue to let the money compound on its own or if you continue to add to it. Of course, compound interest isn't the main factor that makes the first million the slowest. And the subsequent millions come much faster, but this isn't possible without developing excellent money behaviors. Knowing how to balance risk and reward and knowing how to invest wisely, once you accumulate $1 million in your investment portfolio, you can sit back, relax, and not contribute another penny, and it will grow very quickly. And if you were to invest into the S&P 500 at an average rate of return of about 10%, it will grow about $2 million in 7 years, and after 4 years, it will be worth $3 million, and about 3 additional years, it would have grown a whopping $4 million. Without adding another dollar, it would grow from $1 million to $4 million in about 14 years. To put the snowball effect into perspective, it would take a person starting with nothing and investing $500 a month, earning 10% annual return between 29 and 30 years to accumulate $1 million. Once you build up the nest egg, compound interest becomes immensely evident, and even if it seems like you will never achieve your first million, let alone your second or third, you'd be shocked to see how quickly your money increases. Keeping in mind that building wealth becomes easier and easier, you'll be pleasantly pleased by how quickly things move forward as you amass more cash. Thanks for watching, and feel free to like and subscribe.